Hello everyone and welcome to Parasol's Rewind, a show that I do whenever I want to use a character I haven't used in a while and decide I want to subject you guys to it. And look, I know it's been a little while since I've made one of these and I am sorry, but if you do enjoy this video, do hit like on it. That'll let me know just how much people like this series and if they want to continue seeing it. Well, that said, let's begin. So I started off with a normal attack damage build. You can see here I used the Chappie as well as a Combat Spirit Bug. The Combat Spirit Bug adds an additional 20% normal attack damage, while the Chappie completely reduces my SP to 0, so my strong attacks won't be doing any damage. That's not to say they're not useful though, since they're helpful for breaking enemy guards, as well as inflicting paralysis, especially that strong attack too. They're also useful for knocking enemies down, but that's a little bit more useful in the next build. I also use 3 Senkaimon Zangetsus. Now I normally try to keep the links and accessories attainable for every player, and while it is easy enough to attain 3 Senkaimon Zangetsus, I know not everybody has them. The reason I decided to use them though, is because it is pretty easy to get 3 25% normal attack damage links. So damage wise, you're not really gonna see any difference. And speaking of the damage, it was pretty impressive. She went from having just 50% Bruiser with a 25% Nad link to keeping that 25% Nad link, but now having Flurry and Poise, meaning she cannot get staggered when hit. And I did get hit in this build, but aside from being frozen once and confused a couple other times, it didn't really slow me down, thanks of course to the Poise. The thing that does mainly slow this character down is the fact that she doesn't have Guard Break, but it's understandable. She is an older character and back then Guard Break wasn't a thing. So while it is tempting to try to use your strong attack, especially that strong attack 2, to try and paralyze your enemies, I do highly recommend that if you use this build, to save them specifically for when you need to break guards. With all that said though, she is a really good character and this is a really good build. And even if you don't have 3 Senkaimon Zangetsus, I do recommend some sort of damage reduction. Her secondary link is low stamina damage after all, and you do want to be able to have that activated without the fear of instant death, which we will get to. But for now, I'm gonna say that this build is definitely viable. Okay, so next up, I did want to try something a little bit different. Normally I try the normal attack damage, strong attack damage, and some sort of hybrid build for the rewinds. That doesn't really work for this character however, so I decided to go with a normal attack damage build for the first build, and a low stamina damage build for the second build. And I know I said I wanted to keep the links easily attainable for ease of access, but in my defense, I really wanted to do this. So I did. All of the characters linked to this character have low stamina damage at 30%. Under this build, she also gets an additional 16% normal attack damage, 80% last stage survival, and 10% strong attack recharge, which actually does come in handy in this build. In fact, her strong attacks actually play a huge part. This is because under this build, when she's under 30% of her health and low stamina damage activates, all of her attacks, including her strong attacks, deal an extra 114% more damage. Plus, she's got Berserker at 40%, and under this build, I did not use a Chappie, so these attacks are actually going to deal some damage. In fact, her strong attacks were actually able to deal with a lot of enemies by themselves, and not just the hollow enemies either. This was particularly useful when going up against enemies who can guard, since again she doesn't have Guard Break, but I found myself using them regardless of whether they had Guard Break or not, just because it was faster to take them out. Plus, with that extra 10% strong attack recharge, you get access to the strong attack 1 just a little bit faster and can use that to break any guards. However, her bread and butter is still her normal attack, since under this particular build, they do a whopping 155% more damage at low stamina before Flurry, assuming of course she's in low stamina mode. Which is my only real gripe about this build. Yes, the damage is great, but I found myself in constant panic that any hit from any enemy could have killed me, especially since remember, I no longer have any damage reduction under this build. With that said though, I did get hit once under this build, in low stamina, and did not die. And if I had, under this particular build, there was an 80% chance last stage survival could have kicked in, and I would have come back already in low stamina mode. So yeah, it is a more fun build and definitely faster than the last one. The only issue is the constant fear of death. However, if you're watching this video and you're not an infant, you survived the year 2020, so we're all pretty much used to the fear of death at this point anyway. Still, if you are going to use this character in this particular way, I do recommend giving her some sort of defense. Or, you know, just don't get hit. Either way, it's definitely a viable build. So there you have it. I know it's only 2 builds, but I did talk about it more than I usually do, and I think this is the way I kind of want to do these from now on, whenever I decide to do them. And who knows, depending on who the character is, there may be 4 or 5 different fun builds I can try. I do hope you enjoyed this video though. If you did, do hit like on it, and let me know what other characters you want to see in a rewind.